Stay close to me. He's coming.
I can feel it. Don't look.
You cannot escape. Hold on, my love.
The city
The
did
night
not
calls
sleep,
to us.
but it never noticed her
We shall
either.
answer.
Together, our
She
power
sat
is
beneath the
complete.
flickering streetlight with her knees pulled
magic
to
is
her
working.
chest,
Hold on.
coat far too thin for the winter air,
I am
breath
here.
coming out in weak white clouds. People passed her every day, men in suits, women with warm scarves, laughter drifting past like it belonged to another world. No one stopped. No one asked her name. To them, she was invisible. But tonight, fate was watching. Her name was Elara. She had once dreamed of becoming a nurse. Once believed kindness alone could keep her safe. That belief had been beaten down slowly, by hunger, by loss, by the long nights where survival mattered more than dignity. She had no family left. No home. Just a worn backpack and a stubborn heart that refused to turn cruel. When the black car stopped in front of her, she thought she was hallucinating. It was impossibly sleek, its windows tinted like midnight. The engine didn't hum, it purred, low and controlled, like a predator at rest. The door opened without a sound. A man stepped out. He did not look human. Tall. Impossibly still. His presence bent the air around him, as if the night itself bowed in respect. His skin was pale like moonlight on marble, his dark hair pulled neatly back. When his eyes met hers, she felt it, an ancient weight, cold and sharp, pressing into her bones. Fear crawled up her spine. "Stand," he said. His voice was calm, deep, and absolute. Elara stood anyway. She didn't know why. She only knew that something in her refused to cower. "You are freezing," the man said, eyes narrowing, not with cruelty, but calculation. "And yet you share your food with others." Elara blinked. What? "I have been watching you," he continued. "You give away what little you have. You speak gently even when insulted. You do not beg." She swallowed hard. "If you're here to hurt me." "I am not," he said. "I am here to offer you work." "Work." The word struck deeper than hunger. "I don't steal," she said quickly. "And I won't lie for you." The corner of his mouth twitched. "Good." He gestured toward the car. "I am King Veilric Nightborn. And my children are destroying my kingdom." The castle rose from the cliffs like a wound carved into stone. Elara had never seen anything like it. Black towers, ancient banners stirring in the wind, iron gates etched with symbols that hummed faintly as she passed through. The air was colder here, unnaturally so. "This is a mistake," she whispered. Veilric did not answer. Inside, the halls were silent. Too silent. Servants moved like shadows, eyes downcast, fear etched into their posture. Elara felt it immediately, this was a place ruled by power, not warmth. "They hurt people," Veilric said suddenly, his voice echoing through the corridor. 47 caretakers have failed." Her heart clenched. "Failed how?" "They ran," he said. "Or were injured. Or worse." He stopped before massive doors. "They are not evil," he continued. "They are grieving." The doors opened. The room erupted. Furniture shattered against the walls. Magic cracked like thunder. Two small figures hovered midair, eyes glowing red, shadows writhing around them like living things. Elara froze. Children. Twins. They looked no older than 7, but the power pouring from them was terrifying. The boy snarled. The girl laughed, a sound too sharp, too broken to be joy. "Another one," the girl said. "How long until this one screams?" Elara felt her hands shake. But she stepped forward anyway. "My name is Elara," she said softly. "I'm not here to control you." The shadows hesitated. "I'm here to stay." The boy's eyes narrowed. They all say that. Elara knelt. I don't, she said. I don't have anywhere else to go. Something shifted. Not trust. But curiosity. Behind her, King Veilric watched in silence. For the first time in centuries, the Vampire King felt something unfamiliar twist in his chest. Hope. The first night nearly killed her. The twins tested her relentlessly, cold spells, sharp words, silent screams that rattled the walls. Once, the girl lashed out in fear, a blast of power throwing Elara across the room. She hit the floor hard. Blood warmed her lip. The castle went deathly still. Veilric appeared instantly, rage rolling off him in waves. Enough. The twins shrank back. Elara pushed herself up, wiping her mouth. Don't, she said. They didn't mean it. Veilric stared at her. You are bleeding. I've bled worse, she replied. And I survived. The children stared at her now, not as prey, but as something else. Someone who didn't run. That night, when the nightmares came, Elara did not call for help. She held them. And when the shadows receded, King Veilric stood in the doorway, watching a homeless human girl cradle the most dangerous beings in his world. And realizing, too late, that she had already changed everything. Morning did not arrive at the Nightborn castle the way it did in the human world. There was no sun spilling through windows, no birdsong to mark the hour. Instead, a deep bell tolled somewhere in the stone depths, its echo vibrating through the walls like a heartbeat. Elara stirred on the narrow bed she had been given, exhaustion clinging to her limbs like wet cloth. She had slept. That alone felt like a miracle. For the first time in months, no hunger cramps had woken her. No fear of being chased away. No cold pavement beneath her bones. The sheets were soft. Warm. Too luxurious for someone like her. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes. And then she realized she wasn't alone. The twins sat on the floor beside her bed. Not floating. Not snarling. Just, watching. Elara's breath caught. How long have you been there? The boy tilted his head. You snore. I do not, she muttered. The girl studied her carefully, crimson eyes sharp. You didn't leave. Elara smiled faintly. I told you I wouldn't. Silence stretched between them, fragile but real. Down the corridor, unseen, King Veilric listened. He had not slept. Sleep had abandoned him centuries ago, but last night had unsettled him in ways war never had. He had expected screams. Blood. Another failure to erase from memory. Instead, he had watched a human girl, thin, bruised, utterly powerless, do what magic and fear never could. She stayed. The council arrived at dusk. They came without invitation, without warning. The air itself recoiled as ancient power crossed the castle threshold. Elara felt it before she saw them, a pressure behind her eyes, a chill that sank into her marrow. Veilric's jaw tightened as he descended the grand staircase, cape flowing like shadow behind him. They sensed the surge, he said quietly. Elara swallowed. The twins? Yes. He looked at her then, not as a king addressing a servant, but as a man weighing an impossible truth. They will blame you. Her shoulders straightened. I can handle words. They do not use words, Veilric replied. The great doors opened. 3 figures entered, each radiating cold authority. Their eyes swept the hall, landing on the twins immediately, then on Elara. Disdain flickered across their faces. A human, one hissed. You allow weakness into sacred walls? Elara felt every scar on her soul burn. Veilric stepped forward, power rippling outward. You will speak with respect. The council leader's gaze sharpened. You are compromised. That word struck harder than any insult. Elara glanced at the twins, who clung subtly closer to her legs. Her instinct screamed to protect them, even from their own kind. "They're just children," she said. The hall went silent. The council laughed. Velric did not. He turned slowly, violet eyes blazing, not with rage, but something far more dangerous. Conviction. "She stays," he said. "And if any of you touch her, you answer to me." For the first time in centuries, the council hesitated. That night, Elara sat alone on the balcony, staring at a sky full of unfamiliar stars. She wondered how she had survived long enough to end up here. Footsteps approached. Velric stopped beside her, close enough that she could feel the cold radiating from him, but also something else. Restraint. "You endangered yourself today," he said. She shrugged. "I've done worse for less." He studied her face. "Why do you care?" Elara didn't answer immediately. She watched the wind pull at the banners, listened to the distant ocean crash against stone. "Because no one cared when I was small," she said quietly. "And I remember what that felt like." Velric's chest tightened. He had ruled empires. Broken armies. But this simple truth, undid him. "You do not belong in my world," he said softly. She met his gaze. "Neither did I belong on the streets." Their eyes locked. Something unspoken passed between them, dangerous, electric, slow-burning. He turned away first. The attack came at midnight. Not from the council, but from the shadows beyond the castle walls. The twins screamed. Magic flared. Stone cracked. Elara ran without thinking, heart pounding, bare feet slapping against cold marble. She reached them first. Dark creatures clawed at the windows, ancient and feral, drawn by the twins' power. Elara threw herself in front of them instinctively. Velric arrived seconds later, too late to stop what happened next. One creature struck. Pain exploded through Elara's chest as claws tore fabric and flesh. She collapsed, gasping, blood soaking the floor. The twins screamed her name. Velric's roar shook the castle. He destroyed the attackers in seconds, brutal, efficient, merciless. But when he turned back, the war meant nothing. Elara lay still. He knelt beside her, hands shaking as he pressed them to her wound. "No," he whispered. "Do not die." Her eyes fluttered open. "Still, here," she murmured. Something inside the vampire king shattered. He lifted her carefully, holding her as if she were made of glass. And in that moment, every wall he had built over centuries began to fall. Elara drifted in and out of consciousness, floating in a place between pain and warmth. She could hear voices, distant at first, then closer. One of them was sharp with panic, stripped of command and control. Another was softer, broken by fear. "Stay with
the night
me."
calls to us.
The words
And we
wrapped
shall
around her
answer.
like a
Together
lifeline.
our power is complete.
When she finally opened her eyes, the world was dim and red-lit, the air thick with the scent of iron and ancient magic. She lay on a stone platform etched with glowing runes. The wound in her chest burned, but it was no longer tearing her apart. King Velric knelt beside her. Not standing above her like a ruler. Kneeling. His hands hovered inches from her skin, as if he feared touching her might break her. His violet eyes were dark, frantic, nothing like the cold monarch the world feared. "You are awake," he said, voice rough. She tried to smile. "You sound relieved." "You nearly died," he replied. Elara swallowed. "Did I protect them?" "Yes." The word came out sharp, final. "You stood between ancient predators and my children," Velric continued. "You should not be alive." She looked away. "Guess I'm stubborn." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, quietly, you are reckless beyond reason. She glanced back at him. You're welcome. A faint, stunned sound escaped him. Not quite a laugh, but close. The twins refused to leave her side. They curled up on either side of her as she recovered, their small hands gripping her sleeves whenever she slept. Their magic, once volatile and wild, now pulsed gently, responding to her presence like a calming tide. Velric watched from the shadows. For centuries, he had believed fear was the only thing powerful enough to maintain order. Yet here, in this quiet chamber, kindness had done what terror never could. She is ours, the girl whispered one night, glaring at the guards. Velric dismissed them all. The council returned 3 days later. This time, they did not hide their intent. She is a liability, the High Matron declared, eyes fixed on Alara as if she were a stain to be scrubbed away. A human influence on hybrid heirs is forbidden. Velric rose from his throne slowly. Then change the law, he said. The council erupted. You would rewrite ancient code for a street girl? Alara's heart pounded, but she stood tall beside him. She is not weak, Velric continued, his voice echoing through the chamber. She is the only reason my children still breathe. The matron sneered. Humans corrupt. They tempt. They rot. Before Velric could respond, Alara stepped forward. You're afraid, she said softly. The council froze. You're afraid because I didn't use magic. I didn't use power. I used care. And that scares you. Velric looked at her like she had just drawn blood without touching a blade. The matron's face twisted with fury. She speaks out of turn. She speaks truth, Velric said. And with that, the fate of his kingdom shifted. That night, Velric found Alara on the balcony again. The moonlight painted her silver. She looked fragile. Small. Entirely human. And yet, stronger than anyone he had ever known. You challenged them, he said. She shrugged. Someone had to. He stepped closer. You are changing everything. Alara laughed softly. I didn't mean to. You should be afraid, he said quietly. Of me. Of what I am. She looked up at him. I was afraid of hunger. Of being invisible. Of dying alone. You? She shook her head. You don't scare me. The admission struck him like a blade. He reached out, stopping just short of touching her cheek. Do you know what you are asking of me? He whispered. If I choose you, I defy my world. Alara's voice trembled, but she didn't step back. Then don't choose me. He stared at her. And if I already have? He asked. The air between them tightened, heavy, charged, forbidden. She felt it. He felt it. Neither moved. The council struck back before dawn. They spread whispers across the vampire realms, accusations, lies, threats. They branded Alara a manipulator. A seductress. A parasite feeding on royal weakness. Velric read every report in silence. Then he crushed them. He stripped council members of power. Exiled those who spoke against her. For the first time in history, a human was named protected under royal blood law. The kingdom trembled. Alara stared at the decree in disbelief. You didn't have to do this. Velric met her gaze. Yes, he said. I did. And in that moment, she understood. This was no longer just protection. This was devotion. But destiny was not finished with them. As Alara slept that night, a symbol burned faintly to life beneath her skin, ancient, forgotten, glowing softly over her heart. Velric felt it the moment it awakened. A mark older than vampire law. Older than kings. And with it came a terrifying truth. Alara was not just changing his world. She was bound to it. The mark burned like a silent heartbeat beneath Alara's skin. She woke with a sharp inhale, clutching her chest as warmth spread outward, not painful, but alive. The chamber was dark, lit only by crimson embers in the braziers. For a moment, panic rose in her throat. Then she realized she wasn't alone. Velric sat beside her bed.
The magic
Not
is working,
standing
hold on.
guard.
I feel it. Don't leave
Not
me.
watching from the
Never. I am
shadows.
here.
Sitting. His posture was rigid, hands clasped tightly as if restraining something violent inside himself. His eyes lifted the moment she stirred, and the relief that flashed across his face was so raw it stole her breath. "You felt it," he said. She nodded slowly. "What is happening to me?" Velric swallowed. For the first time since she had known him, fear, not anger, not control, touched his voice. "That mark is older than my crown," he said. "Older than this kingdom. It is called the Bond of Origin." Alara frowned. "That doesn't sound comforting." "It is not," he admitted. "It appears only when a soul willingly gives its life for vampire royalty, without magic, without blood compulsion." Her pulse quickened. "I didn't do it for royalty." "I know," Velric said quietly. "That is why it chose you." By morning, the entire castle knew. Whispers slithered through corridors. Servants bowed deeper. Guards watched Alara with something between reverence and terror. The twins refused to let go of her hands, their magic humming in perfect harmony with her presence. "She's ours," the boy said fiercely when a council messenger tried to approach. Velric did not correct him. Instead, he issued a summons. The royal trial. A ritual so ancient it had not been invoked in 1,000 years. One that would decide whether Alara lived, or was erased. "You're sending me to be judged?" Alara asked softly when he told her. Velric looked at her, jaw clenched. "I am giving you a chance to survive." She studied his face. "And if they decide I'm a threat?" His voice dropped to something dangerous. "Then they will learn what it means to threaten what is mine." The words echoed between them. Neither of them spoke of it, but both felt the truth settling into place. The trial chamber was carved deep beneath the castle, lit by blood-red crystal veins pulsing through the stone. Ancient vampires filled the circular hall, their gazes sharp, merciless. Alara stood alone at the center. Human. Small. Unarmed. The High Matron rose, her expression cold with triumph. "This girl has violated sacred law. She has bound herself to royal blood without consent." Velric's hands curled into fists at his side. Alara lifted her chin. "I didn't ask for power," she said clearly. "I didn't ask to be chosen. I only protected children who were afraid." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The matron sneered. "Intent does not matter. Humans are weak." Alara met her gaze. "Then why are you so afraid of one?" Silence fell like a blade. Velric's breath caught. The matron slammed her staff against the stone. "Prove yourself, human. Enter the memory veil. If your heart holds deceit, it will consume you." The veil shimmered into existence, a swirling mass of ancient magic designed to tear truth from the soul. Alara stepped forward before Velric could stop her. The veil swallowed her whole. Pain exploded behind her eyes. She was pulled backward through her own life, hunger, cold nights, fists raised in cruelty, hands turning away when she begged for help. She felt every humiliation again, every moment she chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier. The magic searched her. Found no corruption. Found no ambition. Only love freely given. The veil shattered. Alara collapsed to her knees, gasping. A symbol blazed across her chest, brighter than before. The chamber erupted. "She is worthy," an ancient voice boomed from the walls themselves. "She has no hunger for power. The matron staggered back, horrified. Velric moved instantly, crossing the chamber in a blur. He knelt beside Alara, lifting her into his arms without hesitation. "I am here," he murmured. "I have you." The twins ran to them, clinging to her, crying openly. In that moment, the kingdom saw it. Not a human servant. Not a threat. A mother. The council's power broke that day. Those who had tormented, belittled, and plotted were stripped of rank, exiled, or bound by their own cruelty. Instant karma, swift and absolute. Alara recovered slowly. Velric did not leave her side. One night, as she rested against him on the balcony, watching the dark horizon, she whispered, "What happens now?" He brushed his thumb gently over her hand. "Now. I choose." Her heart stuttered. "Velric. I have ruled through fear," he said. "Through distance. Through blood. You showed me another way." He turned to her fully, eyes burning, not with hunger, but devotion. "If you stay, the world will hunt you," he warned. "If you leave, I will let you go." Alara looked at the castle. At the twins laughing softly behind them. At the immortal king who had learned how to kneel. "I was homeless once," she said. "I'm not afraid of fighting for a home." Velric leaned closer, resting his forehead against hers. Then, slowly, reverently, he pressed a kiss to her brow. A promise. Not possession. Not demand. Love. The kingdom changed quietly at first. There were no riots. No dramatic declarations carved into stone. Just small things, subtle, almost invisible to outsiders. Guards no longer flinched when Alara passed. Servants smiled instead of bowing in fear. The twins laughed more than they screamed. And King Velric watched it all with a mixture of awe and humility. He had ruled through command for centuries. Through fear. Through distance. Yet it was a human girl, one who had once slept beneath bridges, who had shown him what true authority looked like. It was earned. Not taken. The final challenge came with the Crimson Convergence, an ancient gathering where all vampire territories aligned their allegiance. For generations, the Nightborn throne had stood unchallenged, but now whispers followed Velric like shadows. A human at his side. Hybrid heirs protected by affection instead of domination. To the old world, it was heresy. To Velric, it was truth. Alara stood beside him as the great hall filled with nobles, warlords, and ancient bloodlines. She wore no crown. No jewels beyond a simple clasp at her throat. She did not need symbols. The room felt her anyway. "She cannot rule," one elder declared. "She is mortal." Alara stepped forward before Velric could speak. "I don't want to rule," she said calmly. "I want to protect." The murmurs grew louder. "You think kindness makes you strong?" another scoffed. Alara met his gaze. "No. Surviving without it made me strong. Kindness just made me human." Velric felt something settle deep within his chest. Pride. The twins approached then, hands clasped together. "She's our mother," the girl said simply. The word echoed through the chamber. Mother. Not caretaker. Not servant. Family. Ancient law stirred, responding to truth older than blood. The hall trembled, not with destruction, but recognition. The same power that had marked Alara now surged through the twins, stable and radiant. The elders fell silent. Velric rose. "This kingdom will not be ruled by fear again," he said. "Those who wish to leave may go. Those who remain will adapt, or fade into history." No one challenged him. They had already lost. That night, beneath a sky streaked with crimson and black, Alara stood on the highest balcony of the castle. The wind tugged at her hair, carrying the distant sound of waves crashing against stone. Velric joined her quietly. "It's done," he said. She nodded. "Feels strange." "You belong here," he said. She turned to him. "I belong where I'm not invisible." He studied her, really studied her, the scars she never hid, the strength she never boasted about. "I have lived forever," he said softly. "And yet I only began living when you walked into my world." Ilara's breath caught. "I won't promise eternity," she said. "I'll age. I'll change." Velric reached for her hands, pressing his forehead to hers. "Then I will cherish every moment," he replied. "Even if it breaks me." She smiled through tears. That was enough. Years passed. The kingdom flourished. The twins grew, not into weapons, but leaders. Balanced. Loved. Grounded by the human heart that raised them. And when Ilara finally grew old, when silver threaded her hair and her hands softened with time, Velric never once regretted choosing her. On her final night, she lay in the same chamber where she had first healed. Velric held her, unmoving, silent tears slipping down his immortal face. "You gave me a home," she whispered. "Promise me, you'll keep choosing kindness." "I swear," he said. She smiled. And then she slept. Legends say the Vampire King never ruled the same again. That he became gentler. That he listened. That he built a world where the weak were protected, not erased. And whenever someone dared to judge another by power alone, elders would tell them a story. Of a homeless human girl. Who walked into darkness. Never underestimate kindness. Power may rule the world, but compassion changes it. And changed fate itself.